Hey, Happy New Year. This is TioMichaelTalks. It's Michael Acevedo, your host, and we have a new year, but old stuff. I have quite a few things that I have not opened up yet. So I've got two boxes of stuff. I'm going to start with whatever's at hand, and we'll go ahead and get started. Quite a bit of stuff. Let me get my blades and everything ready because we're going to need those to clip, and I don't want to waste time like I'm doing now. All right. Now we should be ready. I will tell you there are a few things that I could not wait to open. You may have seen these in the past, but here's the figure obscura, the headless horseman. Love that. Last night I opened this and really enjoyed it. Just a cheetah. It's not easy being cheesy. Love that figure. And if you can spot behind me over there, the NECA street scene. It's two levels, 2 feet tall, and just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. I'll have to share pictures with you online on that as we go. Real quick, Marvel Select. This is usually right out of I think it's Diamond Select is who does it. And I know last year Diamond went through a lot of upheaval, but I have to say Marvel Select toys are a little different for me. The scale is way off anything that we have with the others. So I usually don't buy Marvel Select unless it's the huge figures. They knock it out the park. Hulk, um, Juggernaut, Colossus, Thing. But there are a couple figures that I just had a soft spot for. And as you can tell, the Fantastic Four are that set. I already had the Thing, and I bought the torch when it came out because it had an option to make it very similar to the classic torch from the timely version, and that's what I was looking for. But the scale was all off. But from far away, it'll fit close enough for government work. But one of the things that I liked about the Fantastic Four was when they released Mr. Fantastic was all of the bendy accessories that they had. And so I decided, even though I only collect the big figures, I would be collecting Marvel Select Fantastic Four. So as soon as I saw that Sue Richards was coming in, I had to get her. The other thing that I decided to go with them, not really a big figure, but they're scrolls. Whenever there's a scroll, I like to build them as an army builder, so I do buy their super scroll that they had out, which was more like the Secret Invasion Super Scroll. So it's kind of like the Illuminati Super Scroll. And I really enjoyed it. So, not your scale. If it's not your type of scale, that's fine. To each their own. But I got to say, the sculpting, and especially with the face of Sue Richards that they just seem to have a problem with, um, I would say that they use the sculpting. It's kind of like in between Alan Davis and Mark Farmer's run of the figure to a more almost like a great Gary Frank kind of look to the face. Those are artists from the comics. Please make sure that you go back to the source material and look for those comic books. Alan Davis had a tremendous run with the Fantastic Four. Again, some invisible force field effects, which I'm dropping all over the place. And I have to admit, the select does come with bases and stuff. Even from the early runs, they had these nice bases that you could use. I remember they had the scrolls that came out, but they only had like half bodies and stuff. I think it was the Spider Woman wave or something like that. But this horde, invisible force bubble, like a portion of it, really looks nice, and very similar to what you might have seen on Instagram from Marvelo Dad, and he does tremendous work. In fact, I'm saving up money because I need to order from him because my cousin has ordered some stuff from him, and I just love his photos. I follow him on Instagram, and Marvelo Dad does really good work with these bubbles. Tremendous amount of stuff that he does for Magneto, um, and for effects. So I have to say thank you to Marvel Select because I think this is tremendous amount of work with the effects. You have the normal legs and invisible stuff as well. So I'm not going to take those apart because I'm already dropping stuff, and I'm going to have to search for that later. So we have that. That's the only Marvel Select that I have in the batch today. Um, the Vision is another Marvel Select I got earlier in the year in 2023. Tremendous sculpt. I know it's bigger than most of the scale, but had to get it. Um, I'm at a the two majority of the stuff, and I have to say, my two collections that I seem to have wandered into. I collect a little bit of everything. To my wallet's pain and my wife's regret. But Hasbro's Marvel stuff and Hasbro's GI Joe stuff seems to be the number one thing that I buy. I also collect the Cosmic Legions and the Legion Mythic Legions by Four Horsemen. Four Horsemen is just incredible sculpts. I've picked up some stuff along the way. I've been also collecting a lot of McFarlane. I will have to say this. I wasn't too interested in McFarlane in the beginning, but as they started doing the classic DC characters in their uniforms as they would made classic in the comics, tremendous. Right now I'm waiting on Wonder Woman, and I just got word that the Superman with Crypto and who's the other one? Superman with Crypto and Captain Carrot is on its way next week. So I pre-ordered those. I am on the search for the Captain Carrot classic look. I got the Infinity one, the Infinity Battalion or whatever they call them now. And I like those, but I want the classic Captain Carrot. I wanted Crypto. I didn't really care for the mullet Superman, but he also released classic Superman just not soon after. So I have to say those have really piqued my interest, and I have been picking up. And while these have been waiting, and I have them and I want them, for some reason when I buy the Todd McFarlane figures, I have to open them up as soon as I get them. Don't know, don't know what that says about them, but I will tell you this: I have a box full of GI Joes and a box and a half of Marvel figures. Hasbro just went crazy shipping at the end of the year. So I am going to go ahead and start working on those. And I will open the one McFarlane figure set that I did hold off on opening just so I could show you. And this is the Batman the Animated Series Alfred. Um, on my Facebook, when I went live talking about this item when I found it yesterday on the 31st. This was released, and I believe what they're doing is Todd McFarlane had the Batman 66 line, and he did really good on that. I mean, it was a little less articulation, but it kind of fit the theme for what it's going. Wasn't my cup of tea. I have the first set because I'm a sucker for Batman 66, but I didn't go too far into it. I really didn't go for all the crazy characters for the figure line. But it looks like he's going into the animated series now, and we're going to see a lot more releases coming in. And I think this is going to replace the 66 line because I don't know how much more really juice does he have in the 66 line. And I know there's an unwritten law in McFarlane world that you got to release a Batman somewhere. So I would say the Batman animated series is a good way to go because you have the Batman, the animated series line. You also have the Batman, the Brave and the Bold line. These are all different cartoons with little bit of change in the art and a lot of characters. And if they went with the Brave and the Bold line, Todd, you would have me hook, line, and sinker because the Batman Brave and the Bold cartoon, I think, was one of the best animated versions that they did of the Justice League, other than the JL Unlimited, because it was like a continuation. And Batman was teaming up with different superheroes, all in that same mindset and concept. And it had a kind of 60s feel. I gotta love these little cards. I got a whole collection. In fact, you know what? I'll show you my collection. Bear with me. Again, um, my site is my site alone. I don't have any sponsors or anything like that. When I talk about things, it's things that I enjoy or I come in contact and I work with. McFarlane has these cards that he puts inside as collectors. And again, he knows me well. I've been putting together a book with a set of all his cards. Now, this is my actual original artwork where I was trying to homage different artists that I enjoy. So that's Walt Simonson and George Perez, uh, some of the ones who passed away, and then some cartoon versions of superhero versions of the artists. So that was oh, I'll have to go on to that later. I'll find it later. But I'm also card carrying CLJ member, um, following at www.davewonder.com. One of my friends and one of the guys I follow who really inspired me during COVID and beyond to start this channel, to start talking about things I enjoy doing and love doing. So, Todd McFarlane did a great job as far as capturing the animated look to these figures. His team did wonderful. Let's see as far as sculpting. I am going to be a little careful. I've heard some things that sometimes the plastic can be brittle, or when you're trying to move them, it can get locked up and you can cause it to break. Now, normally that would be a headache, but it would also be concern because you're like, oh my God, I just bought this. How do I play with it? Now, I know you can always write the company, go through, but a lot of people don't have that. A friend of mine, Bill Maru, toy mechanic, also part of the CLJ, I follow him, and he does tremendous work of fixing toys. And I enjoy watching him do the stuff, and I love figuring out what's underneath because I have taken apart my toys. I don't always put them back. I take them apart. I'm kind of that mad scientist that wants to see what makes them tick, but I can't always put them back together again. So I enjoy the fact that we have someone like Bill Maru and Bill Maru Toy Mechanic who can do that, and he comes up and with some amazing ways to fix the toys, the joints, and everything else outside of sculpting and setting different things. He's just tremendous. Again, as we saw when I was opening the Invisible Woman, I'm not taking any of the little applications out of the little additions because they have multiple hands, a tea set, and a duster. Lumiere. And we're going to go ahead and put that to the side so I don't lose them. I'm not going to go as in detail as Robo. At Robo Don't Know, and him and Veebs do a wonderful review. And this is tight. The joints are very tight, and I am being very careful, knowing that I could break or snap it. So it's also been cold. Down South Florida has had, in Florida, we've had 40-degree weather, which for us is freezing. And I'm not going to push this. So this one here is also very tight. Okay, I saw the joint. Yeah, it's starting to ball up on there as soon as I twist. So I'm not going to move that too much. Leg joints are okay. No ab crunch. He does have a joint at the hip. So all I need is for him to stand and look judgmentally at Bruce. Really, Master Bruce. So that's all I need from him. But again, be careful when you open those figures. So the rest of the figures are Marvel, Hasbro, Marvel, and G.I. Joe. Whoa. Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I do have a Tom Holland head, exposed head, or non-costume head, unmasked, I guess, from the Infinity War line. But this one is the one for me. As things progress, technology is going to get better. They're going to get more perfection as they do with anything. I want to show you this beauty. Can you see okay? Look at that. Comes a long way from when I first started collecting with Star Wars. It could be the cold that I think is affecting some of these joints too. So the knee joint, I have to warm this up. So I'm not going to play too much with them. Plus, I got a lot of stuff to go through. Nice. Nice look. And this may be the final suit. Like when he swings away at the end. More cartoon version. All right. Moving right along. We have the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which is Toby. The youth counselor. I have to say that movie was tremendous. I really enjoyed it, and I love how they played into a lot of the facets of the Tobey Maguire mythology, to include Doc Ock, which was tremendous. And there's the Toby face. And the suit is classic. Amazing, excuse me, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from the Tobey Maguire era. Love that. We'll have to take that apart, heat it up later. Now, I guess this was the guy who caused so much trouble. Something about the licensing, not necessarily the actor, but probably the licensing. And I don't know all the legalities when it comes to entertainment licensing, but everybody else says No Way Home Spider-Man, and multiple companies scrapped maskless versions of this figure for last year, which would have been in time with the movie presentation to this year. But we have the Amazing Spider-Man 2, which apparently was the loophole they needed. You can't show him as No Way Home, but he could look like the Amazing Spider-Man episode 2. And as an actor in the movie, I think he had one of the best emotional storylines in that he was able to reconcile his issues and how he lost his Gwen by saving Tom Holland's Mary Jane. Speaking of which, here she goes. And I know a lot of people sometimes will get sore about, hey, why do we got so many figures with just civilian wear? For me, I've really gotten into the civilian stuff more. Not so much that the fact that there's just guys in suits, but when they do some civilian wear that's really nondescript, which um, I'm really hoping the civilian toy line, one of the guys is trying to get through, can't remember his name right now for the life of me, goes through because when he puts that together and goes, I really want to put together some civilians to put into some sets. One of the things, and like behind me, you can see a little more clearer the NECA set. So here's the little thingamaboob that they put together for the movie from Doctor Strange, the MacGuffin. And here is our female, Mary Jane. Finishing up that line, we have Matt Murdock as he appeared in the movie, which right now he's appeared in the movie. He's appeared in She-Hulk, and he's going to probably appear in Echo. Whoops. So I'm hoping that we see more of him. They're reworking the entire Daredevil plan. Bear with me here. And Sandman. Now, this was a pretty big line, but no Build-A-Figure. And I think what they ended up doing was making the deluxe, the which I didn't get. That's the one figure I didn't get last year, was the Norman Osborn. But you know what? I may be seeing him this year. We'll find out. All right. So I'm going to end the Spider-Man line here with something I picked up on clearance during Christmas and New Year's. Walmart and Target threw up a bunch of clearance stuff, and I went ahead and got on the Walmart site and got the Amazing Spider-Man Mobius 2-pack for the price of one figure. $55 to $60 set, and I got this for $20. Can't beat that. Now, normally playing the long game doesn't help you that much, but there was a lot of stuff this year that was over released or undersold. Um, you know, if you look at the business aspect of it, a lot of things were changing, and I think a lot of people, if you look at the numbers, a lot of people decided to travel and do things that was more high dollar value. And during the pandemic, I think people saved up enough money that now they could do that. They lived their dreams and followed and created memories. Um, so it didn't leave enough time to spend playing with toys. But I think we're going to see a better mix. I think they overextended themselves, and if they trim lines and focus more on what they're putting out instead of all these repaints, we might see a better interest. You're going to see some repaints, but I think they're going to be a little bit more. I think what we've seen this year, them experimenting with some of the base bodies, turning them into comic related figures that we've never had before. Because we've seen some stuff this year that has been tremendous. And holy free holies, I didn't think I'd like this that much. Joints are nice and smooth. And again, this is a comic book set. So you could use a Spider Man body, but look at this. Holy cow. This is an awesome six arm Spidey. And the paint job and the other than not being pinless, but I'm not too big on that. But shoot, this looks sweet. See, this is where you should, if you're going to repaint, I understand for the business aspect, you got to get more bang for your buck out of these figures. Turn it into stuff we never would have seen. I think Hasbro did really good when they did a Spider Man line with Captain Universe, Spider Man, and all that stuff. But the Star Jammers, let's fill out the rest of that line. And you could still put Wolverine and the key members and put in a couple more so that we can have them. And I think they've been veering towards that way. I have full faith in the team at Hasbro. Now, I'll tell you why. They do stuff like this. Simply a repaint of the Iron Man from the movies, right? But it ties in with the What If where they introduced Goliath. Now, Goliath was not introduced in the What If. He was actually introduced when they had Lawrence Fishburne play him in the, I think it was Ant-Man 2, where he was talking to him in the college. And that's one of the things that they did in the movies and then paid out later on. Maybe could have been a bit of payoff, but I think they kind of got lost with pandemic and strikes and everything else. I give them that. But I finally got a Goliath figure here based on the movie. Now, I do have the Black Goliath that they released as a larger figure for the 3.75 line or whatever it was that they used to have, which really scaled as a semi big. He stands taller than the 6-inch figure, so it works well. I like this color scheme for him. Man, there we go. Nice. Nice. Would have been nice. Could have loved seeing Lawrence Fishburne play into this. Um, all right. So Lady Bullseye. This is from the Mindless Ones Build-A-Figure set. And with this, I got to cut from the bottom. The Mindless Ones are creatures that cannot be destroyed that will live in the dark dimension of Dormammu. Dormammu uses them to protect areas of entrance into his realm. Of course, Doctor Strange figures out a way to trick them or get by them and can enter into Dormammu's realm at ease. But again, what a way to get a figure of a comic book character that we probably would never see. One, Lady Bullseye. Nice little figure there. And she's going to have it there. And I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look. But I really think this might be the same base as what they use, a little more hollow, for either the Molten Man from the movie or the Rhino, but I'm gonna. Oh, I can't tell for sure. Wherever there's a bullseye, there has to be a Daredevil. And last year, around Christmas time, my figure of the year, I would have to say for last year, was that Daredevil 3 set that they put out. Daredevil was awesome. One of my favorite characters. But this one here, I've been waiting for. I honestly have not been following the comic book version as closely as I have in the past. I have collected them. I have not read through them yet. I read a little bit of the whole aftermath of this storyline, but I was really caught by the design. And I really loved the design on this. Kind of a ninja daredevil. Nice. Midnight Suns Iron Man. I believe this was based off of the Iron Man outfit he wears in the video game. We'll get to him in a minute. First, I'm putting together my mindless one. I think this is the video game armor, but it also looks very almost like the extremist armor, kind of. But being that it's the gamerverse, we know it's a video game. Excuse me, I'm kind of trapped myself in here. Okay. Still not done with the Marvel stuff. Told you I had a lot. Now, I got a lot of ninjas. I got a lot of hand ninjas. I did stock up on some of the red ninjas when they went on sale. This one, though, comes with a skull. And what's different is this is not the hand. This is the, what is it? I forget what it's called. The fist. I think the foot was taken. All right, so not only do we have a Build-A-Figure, but we have some options. So we can do a fist, which looks like a thing fist. Looks like they hodgepodge them from some different big figures. Oh, you know what I just thought of? They released a Crystar, and these could really go good if they recolor them as the Molten Magma Men. And be some. Now, the other thing is, this is supposed to be uh, it's a Build-A-Figure, but it's also supposed to be an army builder. So I don't know if I'm going to be buying a bunch of these to make army builders. Maybe if they hit Ollie's and they go cheap, cheap, cheap. So we have Clea cartoon. Looks like a cross between comic and a cartoon version. All right, he's coming along. And I must have. Let me see which one's on this. Oh, yeah, I have Blade and Power Man that I opened when I first got that set, and I have them in my garage. So He's missing his head and his leg. We'll have to look at those later. To be continued. Remember, I said we're waiting on Wonder Woman from Todd McFarlane. Well, far be it from Hasbro to be outdone by Todd McFarlane. They went ahead and they put together a set that they have been releasing little by little. I think the first one we got was Power Prism. Was it Power Prism? Or was it the Speedster? So we got the Wizard, but we got Marvel's version of Wonder Woman and it's Power Princess. And let me tell you, wow, what an awesome Wonder Woman figure this would make. I've often wondered if I would be able to personally take some of these teen figures that they make, right hand, these teen figures that they make for Marvel and do a Marvel Legends version of the Teen Titans. It's one of my favorite teams. And made the famous team, the teen version that I love the most is the one that Marv Wolfman and George Perez put together, the new Teen Titans. So that's what I would love to try to recreate. Holy cow. Look at this. Now I'm going to have to put her side by side with um, Todd McFarlane's. You know that, right? The challenge is on. I think we're going to end after I open up and put together the Void set because I've got too many for the Marvel set to then go into the GI Joe. I'll be here all day. Speaking of the teenage heroes, Marvel Boy. Now we have a version. Oh, I'm sorry, not Marvel Boy. Here they call him Justice for the New York Warriors. Those of you that are not up to your comic book lore, I should say, Marvel Boy was the young version of Vance Astro. So, of the Guardians of the Galaxy, the original Guardians of the Galaxy for Marvel. Very nice. So, what happened was Vance Astro was an astronaut that was sent into space under hibernation so that he could explore deep space. When he left, that was the only way to travel. By the time he got back, civilization had changed. They had already developed space travel that went faster than what he was doing, and the Earth got taken over by the Badoom. Well, displaced man out of time went ahead and formed a group to fight against the Badoon. So he ended up forming a version of the Avengers, piecing together members of different colonies in space. And he called them the Guardians of the Galaxy. One time they went in it and they traveled back in time. Look at this vision. Holy cow. Okay. This is an awesome vision. They traveled back in time, and I believe it's Marvel 2 and 1. And he was trying to make sure that his younger self didn't go through with the plan to become a astronaut and then curse him to the life that he lived out because he had to live in that specialty suit. It turns out that you can't be in the same place, same time, at least in that version of the Marvel Universe, without some consequences like temporal storms and everything else. So apparently, he did change history so that his version of Namorita, his version of the Guardians of the Galaxy may not ever form. So we would, but what he did do was trigger a mutant power, latent mutant power that he had that didn't come out until the stress of being in space in his younger self. And so was introduced the concept the Avengers had always taken in sidekicks, but this was the first time that Marvel Boy was an Avenger in training. And now it wasn't just the sidekicks or the people that were just there to support the Avengers in the home. They developed this concept of Avengers in training. Needless to say, being a young teenager, holy cow, he went ahead and became a new warrior. A lot of people talked about the way they did Namor and in the movie for Wakanda Returns or for Wakanda Forever. One of the things a lot of people didn't realize were the legalities or the legal issues of what aspect of Namor they could use. So I thought it was cute how even his name was taken and moved around with the new concept of a Spanish underwater continent, which to me I loved. I thought that was brilliant and a good way workaround for the legal issues. I think what they were doing with the way that they pictured him, it wasn't that he was Spanish, that he had the mustache and all that stuff, but it was trying to get that darker feel for the Namor that came out from Jay Lee and John Byrne. John Byrne was working on it when he was doing that. And that was where we identified in that series that a lot of the times when Namor would go rogue and beat up everybody, it turned out that like someone who was um hmm, holy cow, that's awesome. So he would get going underwater and coming up being a hybrid, he had an imbalance. And so too much time in air, too much time in the sea, either one would drive him insane. Chemically, electrical, chemically, he would not be able to balance it out. Almost like somebody who swims up from the sea too fast gets the bends, only he got mental issues. So they did this whole storyline where he lost it and then became a dark version of Namor. Um, I want to talk more about this void I'm putting together as soon as I get done. So what you're seeing here is that dark Namor, which is pretty awesome. Which, huh, I don't know about you, but if I look closely at that head sculpt and that hair, I see Mephisto. I see a version of Mephisto that they were trying to put out earlier. Let me know what you think in the comments after I post. Now this figure, I'm gonna have to send one to my brother because he is a big Christopher Priest fan, and this is when both of us got into the Black Panther really big. during this run. And what you see on the screen, a lot of it was based off of this run. This was the Marvel Knights era of the Black Panther, which really updated him tremendously. Wow, it's a beautiful figure. All right, so I'm going to open and share this one and close on talking about the Build a Figure because I was very pleasantly surprised on this, but nothing shocked me until they more when this figure was announced, and I'm glad I got it this as the end of close of 2023. Crystar. Oh yeah, 1980s and 90s goodness right here. Crystal, the Crystal Warrior. I had the toy, one of the toys. I didn't have them all. Wish I did, and I will have them all now if they release the whole set. And based on the mindless one and the transparent plastic that they use for the void, I think we're going to see some more of the Crystal figures. I could see them really making something more because this figure here, I don't know. This was to me, this probably is one of the most original figures I have seen Hasbro done. And you know, Mythic Legions, the Dungeons and Dragons line, all of that stuff. Look at this. Look at this beautiful figure. Holy cow. All the sculpt and all that. I mean, if Hasbro went into a mythic figure line, look at this. Look with the light on it. I could see the Magma Men built out of this. I can see a Surtur, which they already made one. But I mean, holy cow! And this could have been a different version of Ultron. This could have been any number of things. Tremendous. Okay, Hasbro. I have to say it. Um, you had some downsides, but you have won the toy line of the year, hands down. I haven't even got to GI Joe, and I love the classified GI Joe line. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you as